I can clap when we're ready to go. Okay.
I thought Mikey was gonna clap.
Oh, Mikey with the clap. See, that's gonna fuck everything up.
We're all clapping, guys.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, clap.
Because Austin's gone. Oh. It was Austin's job to clap, and now we have not designated a resident clapper. So
I don't want to be clapped.
I am K-Cola.
Marcel.
And it's so weird that Austin's not saying it.
I mean, you know, but the show must go on.
But we are Who Hurt You now.
Yes.
Yes. And we have so many special guests. I'm loving all of this melanin.
Right? It's like all the hues just in the room.
I'm jealous,
We're
guys.
Jealous of what? You're included in this. Like, look.
Barely.
True. But, you know.
We have
Noah, I'm her daughter.
and
Mir, I'm her friend.
and
Mia.
yay, guys. So today we are talking about spirituality and spiritual gifts. Are they angelic or demonic?
I ain't no idol, I'm a lighthouse, I set everybody free.
The reason I wanted to talk about this subject is because as a child growing up, my dad was Jehovah's Witness, and basically that religion, and a lot of religions teach you that like spirituality or spiritual gifts and different things that we have had passed down to us from our ancestors, and that used to be so common in Africa and still is today. The things that we practice are now considered demonic and you know, bad, or just, you know, different things like that. So I wanted to share with you guys, well, we're all going to share with you guys our spiritual gifts and how they've been helpful in healing. And I personally believe that they are angelic. They are a gift. I do not believe that they're demonic. Do you guys want to tap into that?
Jumping right in. I recently have found that I reconcile things differently. That good and bad are so subjective.
Yes.
That's very true.
I've been having more and more conversations and bringing up to people, because even my religious upbringing was different. I was raised Buddhist in a house with my grandparents, and my grandmother was very, very Christian and would take me to Sunday school and the whole nine. And I would question the pastors and question the word. And fast forward to like 2014, I met my pastor protesting, Ture Roberts, and he has helped my relationship with God. Specifically though, because the way in which he preaches at One Church LA, or now the Potter's House One Church LA, definitely makes the distinction between how, especially as people of color, historically there were churchy people and then there were people who were walking with God. And how sometimes church and religion cloud the messages of love, light, and God. And furthermore, how, you know, I pointed out to people recently, like even in the Bible, God never speaks of killing the devil, right? There's the dual existence, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So when you talk angels and demons, when you talk light and dark, it's more about, like right now we're in an imbalance. And it's about a restoration of balance, a restoration of humanity, but it's not about eradicating the other side, right? Because even to experience light, there has to be the presence of dark.
There's a scripture in the Bible that says, I, the Lord God, created good and evil, darkness and light. And every time like I get into it with, first of all, a lot of people aren't even aware of that scripture. And when I get into it with the Bible thumpers, I'm like, you know, God says that, you know, he created darkness and the light. So a lot of the times when we're being so critical, at least in the Bible, and if that's what you believe, if you're a Christian or anyone that believes in the Bible, then you believe that that's the word of God. And if God is saying, I created goodness and evil and darkness and light, then a lot of the judgments and things that we have are just completely wrong, and they've been created by man. And I feel a lot of the times, I believe in a creator. I'm not Christian, but I do believe in a creator. And a lot of the times I feel we put our humanness onto God. Like, well, God feels this and God is that and God is a he. God is a he.
That part.
Like what? Like if anything, like first of all, God is not a gender, but if anything, the woman has always been the creator. It's Mother Earth. You know what I mean?
He would be a woman,
right?
If we had to pick
a black
sex.
woman specifically.
Very true. Of a darker hue.
Yes, but we put our idea of what God is onto God, and it's just completely unfair, and then we try to push that off and project that onto other people, and
that's a distinction between like looking for answers to be right versus looking to understand the world that you're in.
Yeah,
like somebody shared a really interesting perspective with me last night that like we as people of color, specifically black people, are the original chosen people, and the Bible is actually an instruction guide for us to remember. And and the way he like articulated how he saw that, I could understand and adopt that, you know what I mean? But I think that oftentimes in how we're trained, it's like in Bible thumpers, as we call them, like it's really just to prove a point or prove they're right. Like there's nobody that's in the Bible that says like homosexuality is wrong. There's no, like people will manipulate
their
and
word,
comprehend in
to
different
fit
ways
their
just
point.
to like fulfill their argument.
Yes.
Picking and choosing what they want to preach
Pull out of it.
and put into motion. It's crazy.
Exactly.
So I mean, one of the things that like my dad used to criticize, or even like the Jehovah's Witness church used to criticize people. Like I used to have a notebook that had the yin yang symbol on it, and he told me that was demonic. And then as I get older, I'm like, wait a minute, that literally just means balance. Like it's the masculine and feminine, but that religion teaches you that's demonic. Also, psychic abilities. If you see spirits, those aren't spirits, those are demons. And that religion, they think that demons come to you in the form of your loved ones to trick you. So growing up, I'm thinking like, oh, this is a demon coming to me, as opposed to like
an angel or
my ancestor or whatever, whoever it is. I'm automatically thinking it's bad, so I'm constantly living in this state of fear. That as I got older, I realized, okay, I was just afraid of these things because I didn't know what they were, because I was taught that they were bad, right? The Bible also talks about people having visions and, the different prophets and Daniel, and it's just like, why is that okay? But now if we do it, it's considered bad. You know what I mean? So have any of you guys, do you guys want to share your spiritual gifts, or do any of you guys have spiritual gifts? Do you want to start?
Okay, I will say. Well,
I feel her just soaking in over here.
I'm soaking in all this energy because it's beautiful to hear, because it's like most of the time being a spiritual being, you have to go through like an awakening first. So it's like awakening within oneself, that you kind of experience different things, and then you say to yourself, okay, like, is this really happening? What is the purpose of all this? And then being able to step into that light and saying like, okay, like I'm a light worker. Yes. I'm someone who has clairvoyancy, or I'm someone who can affirm that.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you said that, because when my spiritual awakening happened to me last year, it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And I'm still now like, I like kind of pushed it off because I don't want to like really invest in it. But like now I'm like, maybe I should just like start really diving in deep to it. But sorry to cut you off, but it's so crazy because it just reminded me of that.
Oh no, of course. Yeah.
You get used to surreal.
Yeah.
You get used to like things saying, this is impossible, but then telling yourself, no, this is true. This is my truth, So for me, I think it took a little while to seep in, especially like working within the community, and just being overexposed on certain levels. It was harder for me to distinguish my gifts, but now like where I am today, it's easier for me to say and affirm that I have power within me, like I have power to heal myself and other people by choice, and being confident in that, and not being out here saying like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and not trying to push it out to people, but allowing my energy to be received by people, and then allowing the flow to be natural from there, you know. But it's so important. We're talking about spiritual energy, also like protecting your energy.
Yes.
And I know that we'll get into that a little bit later, but you know, if you feel like this conversation really resonates with you, like, you know, stay tuned for the whole conversation.
Yes. We have some tips. We have some tips for you.
Yes.
No, I mean, I think it's funny you bring up how like scary it is, because even though my mother raised me not to be afraid of my gifts, like I remember very early memories talking to spirits. Most people thought they were just imaginary friends. I saw them for many years, same way, and she would just be like, "Oh, Lisa's here, cool, hey Lisa," you know what I mean? Like she never really. I didn't grow. It was funny because somebody asked me recently when I went to Peru and we were on a goddess trip. They were like, "How did your third eye not calcify?" And I think it was between my mother's covering and protecting and the fact that I was just born specifically with powers that were supposed to be part of the next. Like I've reconciled that now. Like if you study indigo and crystal children, I'm an indigo baby, and they were, I mean, I guess in layman's terms, the best way you can explain it is like the imbalance was so bad, they were like a microwave generation. Like they were super duper powerful. They came in, you know, with a lot to fix a lot of things.
Yeah.
But you're placed in this human existence. And I say place because there's, you know, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Right.
How you choose your parents and you choose to face the lessons this lifetime and mastery and all of that. But they were placed for specific reasons to start building the next of where we needed to go in our next evolution. And to your point too, is like now we're in a consciousness time where 2012 wasn't the end of the world, it was the end of a certain consciousness.
Right.
And so now we're so entrenched in it that even if you have not done the work, you're confronted with the power.
Yes.
And so, you know, you can have a negative thought, immediately stub your toe. If you're a manifester, you think of something, you see them when you hit the corner. Like it happens more rapidly.
That corner.
It's like, wait a minute.
No, literally.
But so my mother always used to teach me that fear was false evidence appearing real.
Ooh.
And so it's funny because like now people are like, well, how are you? And I'm like, I'm serving God and my gifts, and I'm so comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm used to being afraid.
Girl.
And that's not like a negative thing. Like I'm
Yes.
just running around like paranoid. It's just I had to, because it's this crazy thing that happens. The more you embrace it, the stronger your powers become and the more rapidly the tests come.
Yeah.
And so then you're kind of in the state of like, oh my God, I can do these things, but oh my God, other people see it, but oh my God, like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
You feel like, I mean, I think it's why we've always been obsessed with X-Men, because it was like a visual representation of how we were feeling and experiencing, and gave us language to like articulate it.
Yes.
So like in my family, gifts run primarily through the women, through most families.
Same.
So my grandmother had visions, my mother had a killer intuition. I came out stronger than both of them in a combination of the two.
Yes.
So by the time, like for instance, tarot decks found me, and I just knew how to read, and the first 10 people I read were all crying and now obsessed with this thing, and I was still trying to figure out how the heck I could do it. But also became very, very aware that as much was in me, it was also channeling from the spirit world. And like I'll never forget, somebody accidentally caught a picture, like they were putting their phone down under the table and they caught a picture, you could see the spirit over me as I was reading them. And half the time, I don't even remember. People be like, oh, remember when you told me blah, blah, I'll be like, nah, was I high? Like, you know, and to the point of protecting, I've been very blessed to have psychics stop me on the street, to be in tribal spaces with, you know, more educated Reiki healers, healers in general, that taught me the tools like needing to go cleanse in water, needing to Palo Santo, needing to sit and meditate and imagine burning the energy off of me when I've taken in too much, needing to, you know, go home and replenish simple things like only drinking alkaline water. Like I work in entertainment, so if I'm at a festival, I have to decompress for like 2 to 3 days in solitude to
seriously
shake off all of the things. And it's also why I can't really go to clubs anymore unless I'm with tribe, because I'm taking in all of the uncertainty, the lack of awareness, the lack of self-study. And I think too, the more you study yourself, like I found out I was a manifestor, I found out I was a 4, I found out I had genius, wealth, and power in my name, and like you have to reconcile being an outlier in all these spaces. The more you understand about yourself, the more you understand how to operate in the world with the gifts.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting because I had, I think I told you in Austin when I was at Coachella.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm sober and I had a miserable time. It was
Really?
my
I was
first.
gonna ask you, how was it?
It was my first time at Coachella.
And last.
And I mean, to add to your point, like being in those spaces, I was able to be in those spaces when I was younger because I was drunk, because I was high, because whatever.
So
You were
true.
numb.
I was
to your
numb
feelings.
to now I'm walking around feeling everyone, everything, and everyone else is drunk and high, but they're also masking their pains, and I can
And you're
feel
reading
all of it.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, it's like Rogue from X-Men, where she takes off her gloves, she touches someone, and she can take their. That's what I'm feeling when I'm
Pride
at
Sunday. I was so over it. I was over everybody. Everyone was like,
Where did you go?
I went to West Hollywood for Pride.
Okay, I was like,
so I was
Hollywood
just
or
there
Long
with
Beach?
everyone. But like, everyone's energy, like when I was younger, I look at old pictures like, oh my, so much fun. And I was literally there from Sunday day till like 11 at night. And like there were parts that were fun, but there were a lot of parts that were draining because there were so many different people, so many different energies that I literally had to step away from my group for like 20 minutes and
Yeah.
like decompress.
And I think this is why a lot of people get anxiety, and it's okay. Like, we have to talk about this so you know that it's okay if you get anxiety in big crowds. Now you know why. And there are certain things you can do to protect yourself, or just don't go. Like, don't feel like you're obligated to go to these places anymore. Like, cut the FOMO. We're at a point now where we don't have to do these things.
Yeah.
So Noah, let's talk about your spiritual gifts. Do you want to share some of the stories that you've told me, or?
Sure. Well, I do have this little problem where I have anxiety, and I don't know how it happens to me, but it's just like when I sleep, I feel something coming to me, and that's why I'm always scared to sleep by myself.
What do you feel coming to you? What does it look like? What does it sound like?
Is it a sleep paralysis thing?
It's like, so when I lived in Hollywood, I've been having these weird dreams where this witch would like come to my bed. I try to hide, she was tickling me, and there was this loud noise coming, and it really like scared me. I couldn't do anything about it because I was all alone in the dark in my room. So then a few years later, I start having anxiety, and like when things come bad around me, I panic and
No, that's good, baby. That's good. So that's important to talk about because your children could be telling you they're having nightmares, or they may not be able to convey exactly what it is that they're feeling. And I think that it's important for us not to just like write it off and be like, oh honey, you're just scared, you'll be fine, or things like that, because just like my daughter said, there's certain things that could be coming to your children, and we need to look into ways to protect them.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
So some things that you could do with children, especially because it's hard to be able to resonate with and understand where they're coming from with different issues. Sleeping and being in that spiritual realm. Last time we talked, I brought crystals for you, and I brought the same one today, which you could consider. It doesn't matter specifically what kind. You should definitely talk to someone who's well trained, especially if you're going to be placing it in like your children's space.
Yeah.
But like a selenite crystal, or I brought some. This is the selenite, if you'd like to hold it.
Oh my god, I have the same one, just bigger because it's like a unicorn horn.
Yes, and so
What
this
a
one's really
unicorn.
perfect for children because of its shape. And because it's an energy vortex, which basically means it helps to send energy. It brings light energy. It's for our crown chakra, and it's a protection stone. So you could kind of like have a ceremony with your child. Nothing like, crazy or anything like that. It's just you're setting like a positive intention.
Okay.
You both are making an agreement that this is something that you guys both have invested in, to bring a positive intention into whatever space, whatever problem it might be. And then throughout the evening, like if your child feels any kind of discomfort, they have the right to be able to reach out to something physical in their space to draw on protection, you know, for bringing in light, and also helps the child to start that like affirmation and manifestation process of being able to chant in a way to oneself, you know, that I'm okay and I can protect myself, or you know, that I'm bringing light into the energy. And then if you're like, you know, I'm Christian and Catholic and I'm not ready for all these things that you're talking about, then that's okay too, because then you can consider doing like a tea. It's we've been talking a lot about our third eye. This is the third chakra tea.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a new tea. It has eyebright in it. It has a combination of herbs that help to target focus. It has spearmint. It's gonna help open up your third.
Passion flower.
Passion flower, that's gonna be for calming and mood. And this is a new tea that we sell at Simply, but I've actually taken it and I like it for like meditation, for focus. And outside of just doing like a third eye chakra tea, you could consider doing like at night the sleeping time tea for kids.
Yes.
I grew up on that.
My dad had us on that too.
Girl, I used to be like every single night, you know, I used to be like, Mom, where's my tea? Where's my tea? You know, my sleepy time tea, you know? So it was like my parents had me on this routine. And, you know, if you look at the ingredients in that, all it does is really help. It has nothing that's going to create any kind of habits. For a child or for you, but it helps to relax a child. It helps with generally just relieving tension and allowing you to kind of slip into that REM faster.
Yes.
You know, or you can do like a lavender and chamomile tea. You know,
all non-addictive, natural, herbal. Like this is not medication. Like doctors will always try to prescribe you these medications with these side effects, and this is from the earth.
You've been here longer than Adderall.
You know,
or Ambien, or like,
or melatonin pills.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I think there was like probably like a month or two last time I was here, there was this video that was viral on YouTube with this like figure. He was like chanting, or he was saying, not chanting, but he was like saying like demonic things, and it was, I thought Momo, right?
Oh, Momo,
right? And so nowadays,
it's on Momo.
Right.
You ever heard about Momo? He was like,
I thought it was a girl.
It was like some distorted figure with like a long
haired,
face. That was like telling kids like kill
She
themselves.
told somebody who posted this on YouTube that her real name is Maria.
Yeah, see, but
YouTube was trying to find it to take it down or something.
Yeah, because she was like being placed in like children's videos like in the middle or something, so like kids will watch like a cartoon and then like she'd pop up and be like, go cut yourself, and then maybe be like, yeah, it was crazy. Wow.
Right, and so like just that being an example, we as the older generation who, you know, you have children, we've allowed technology to become their brother and sister. We've allowed technology to replace us in a way that occupies us, but also occupies them, you know, to where we don't really have to manage. And because of that, at night, you know, children have been overexposed. You know, I think I talked about last time, iPhones now have like a setting where you can set how long a child can be on whatever app, whatever, you know, or for yourself, like I've been, you know, on all platforms for 4 hours. After 4 hours, you'll get an alert. Like every time you try to click on it, it'll give you an alert. And we have to really start doing a better job of monitoring our children, or at least teaching them why we're trying to do that. Because like we did not grow up with like a phone in our hands.
I feel like I had one of the best eras of childhood. I'm an 88 baby, so like 90s. Like slime, scooters, the real scooters, not the motor, like the ones you have to rent. Like being outside, like having to be outside or be inside before the streetlights come on. Climbing trees, building tree houses, BMX bike riding, like all the fun stuff you do as a kid, like being outside. They don't do that now.
Even now, I mean, I think it's important to protect the children and ourselves.
And ourselves.
Because we're exposing ourselves to so much, and you know, our pineal glands are, if they're not like already completely shrunken, they're just getting smaller and smaller, and we're not able to process all of the things that are coming through.
No.
And we have traumas that we're not realizing that we're getting. And so,
and even just like the trauma of the media, like,
yeah,
you know, there was a video of, and I'm sure all of you guys have seen this, of a black gentleman who was pulled over on Hawthorne with guns drawn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like,
traumatic
how many,
to watch.
traumatic.
Yeah.
And like, you know, just imagine being a child who's waking up in the morning, who's like 6 and who's looking at apps and who happens to have an Instagram, because that's something that children do now, you know? And
she asked me if she could get one, and I told her no, not yet.
For what? Well, there's no, I mean,
There's-
like,
there's
unless
no
you,
point.
there's no point.
There's no point.
There's no boy
Mikey
that you're
has
dating
one.
that needs your
That's
Instagram.
why she wants one. My son, he's 12, he's gonna be 13, and he has one. And she's like, well, Mikey has one, but I'm like, I don't want to expose you to what is on that yet.
But
like,
even
I tried
being
to
13, that's so young.
It's so young, and I told him he couldn't have one. He got one on his friend's phones, and then eventually I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know what I mean? But even in that, like, I noticed the difference with him, and like even the things that he's exposed to so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So for her, I'm just not ready to let her have that yet.
Yeah.
But she asks about it, and I'm just like,
And it's interesting because, you know, we overexpose our children to so much.
Yeah.
And then we look at them. Well, I look at children sometimes, and I'm like, this child is wearing clothes that I wouldn't even be wearing right now. I see, you know, girls who are like 7 to 11 wearing booty shorts with their ass hanging out. And I'm just like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, we have a problem already with pedophilia in our community.
Yeah.
Why are we encouraging this with what our children wear?
Right.
You know, but that's a whole nother
That's
topic.
a whole, yeah.
Girl,
That really is.
because sometimes I really don't understand.
You should
Well, I
read
feel
that.
like I want to interject right there because it's an interesting thing to examine the norms that we have here versus the world, right?
that's true.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, nudity and just body image, I think is very, very different in America than it is around the world.
Very
Because
true.
if we didn't
That's
have
very
these
true.
things and we were still tribal, it wouldn't be booty shorts, it would be a loincloth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
Yeah.
True.
And that's not at all to undermine pedophilia in our communities or any of that, but I mean, you know firsthand, like, I have had literal issues with my pineal region since I was 16. I have an AVM in that region, which is also probably, or
What's AVM? Like,
it's an abnormal venous malformation.
Okay.
I've had neurologists tell me like 50 different things, but basically people were like, nobody's ever seen what's in your brain, and where it is in your brain is specifically where this gifting happens there. So which is what kind of sent me on this journey to like really discover my gift.
It's like that movie with John Travolta where he had those powers, but it was the brain thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I bring that up to say is like, in my personal experience, for one, for all human beings, moderation and everything is key. Like any, you know, even things that are good for you, like water, you can have too much of.
Yeah, you can get water
and
poisoning.
So I think that what's interesting about our generation is we're getting used to these things while we're raising children around these things. And so it's a weird negotiation of it, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you don't want them to fall behind in tech literacy.
Right.
But on the other hand, the call to step up and supplement in education and reaffirming our children and pouring into our children, and for instance sitting with them and, you know, evaluating what they're seeing or evaluating how it makes them feel, or teaching them how to check in with how things make them feel, let alone knowing that that is a separate world of projections and not really necessarily real, authentic living in truth. I think is important, because, you know, if we all the way demonize, or if we judge, or if we get into this space of focusing more on what's wrong with the things, they'll overrun us than what we can, like, for instance, those same tools that we're critiquing are the same tools that get these messages out.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know what I'm saying?
Very
Like,
true.
and so I've just been kind of placed, especially since, you know, getting more into community organizing and activism and the whole nine, and especially in our communities, how people want to continually breathe life into that's always how it's been, that's this, that, and the third. I think we're in a space of really having to forge for ourselves, okay, if these are the way things are currently, where do we want to go? How do we want to use these tools, right?
Yeah, because clearly the way it's always been didn't work
Right.
That's
either.
very true.
And people used to say, well, back in my day, but like,
But those
your day
generational
is
traumas
what,
aren't good to
yeah,
pass down
and,
either.
well, not only that, your day is what created what we have right now, which is not exactly, you know. So Noah, when you said we were in North Hollywood. When we moved, did you see the witch anymore, or was it just there?
I still saw a witch every night. And
In North Hollywood or here, or have you seen her since we've been here?
no,
No? What about
Well, you know, Hollywood's like an interesting energy space.
Well, I
Yeah.
wanted to bring that up. The reason I'm asking you that is because North Hollywood has this, and PT has talked about it, like this
People kill themselves
cloud
out of that one
over
building
it.
and stuff,
There's, yeah, and here when I got in here, I don't know if you guys see, but like at my door, I have chakra stones like at my door. I sage the entire house all the time, like, and we were talking about protective things you can do. Like these are things you can do in your home to make sure you clear out any space. I mean, because whether you buy your home, rent, whatever, people lived in it before unless you built it from the ground. You don't know
what
who was
happened,
in
what
it
went down.
before.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're in an apartment, you don't know who's living below you, next door to you, whatever. I had crazy people living above me.
Oh my God.
I was on the shade room for it.
No.
Okay.
Really?
So,
Yes.
Really?
yes.
Wow.
But
An
it's good
R&B
that-
singer.
But it's good that you bring that up though, saying that like,
it's
other
Chris
people's
Brown.
Okay.
oh my
We'll edit that out.
Wait, but I have a question because you mentioned something key, right? You were like, she was there and then she was like tickling you. Was she herself scary, or was she scary because she was a stranger and this being that you didn't know?
The most part that scared me was how she laughed and how she looked, because I've also had these other dreams. You know the movie Us?
God.
So I had these real crazy dreams where like my mom
She looked like me.
And
she was her, but like an evil person
Yep.
of her, like an evil version. So I had lullabies on because I would always get scared of like sleeping in the dark. My mom would put these lullabies on, and I heard this whistling coming from a room that my brother would sleep in. And so she came in I like ran to my mom's room. She ran when I was running to my mom's room, and she had no clothes on. So I was
And her hair was in a bun, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went in mom's bed, and
What was she trying to do to me? What did you tell me she was trying to do to me?
she was trying to like put you in her body, like she was trying to, and then like you came out and you turned into an evil person, then she was the nice person. So I was like, they switched bodies.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
And then there was another one what happened to my brother.
So when we were in another place in Studio City, she told me that she saw a different version of me and my ex-husband John. Where did you see them, and what? You
No,
said you
it was-
saw another parents, or what was it?
No, it was like you and my dad, like, so he was driving away from your house with me in the car. I was crying. You came in with no clothes,
Why do I always have no clothes?
with a head wrap on,
With a head wrap.
and you sat down, and my dad told you I want you, and you turned around and looked at me, and you had this face like you were like about to cry.
But what about the other parent? Remember you said you saw other parents? Was it in the iPad or something? You said you saw other parents. You don't remember. When she was really little, she told me that she chose me. And also, my son, when she was in my belly, I was not showing and I hadn't told anyone.
And he knew.
He was like, you have a baby in your belly.
I remember that.
And then she knew when I was pregnant. So like you, it was passed down through my mother as well.
I know what you're talking about. So like, my auntie Chloe was watching me while my mom and John went out somewhere. So I
You FaceTime them, right?
No, wait, you were in the other room,
Okay.
and I FaceTimed these two parents who were you guys,
Yep.
and so it was morning, like it was daylight where I FaceTimed them, and I thought it was you guys, so I told the other person of you, do you want to see my parents in its nighttime?
Wow.
And I don't remember if I showed you them or something, but I remember when I did that, and it was so weird and crazy because I didn't think that would happen. Like maybe I called the future. Like it was
Sounds like she's going to
another
other dimensions.
dimensions.
Yeah,
Yes.
it sounds like you used to experiment with astral
no,
flying.
but
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
on an iPad. It was on my iPad.
You know what? You know what's cool about iPads? They're made of the same, the whole idea behind iPads is the same idea behind telekinetics, and we're using telepathy. That's why it's called a telephone, because we're using the same, they're getting the same ideas from creating these phones from telepathy. And so what it sounds like is you tapped into another dimension, because they do say that there are other versions of us in other dimensions. And so she told her friends at school some of these things, right?
I told them that I have visions, and they said there's no such thing as powers. And my friends.
Did you tell them you gonna learn one day?
Well, I try to tell them like when I'm asleep, like I have visions, but they just keep asking me what's gonna happen to them, and I keep telling them I need to go to sleep at night. I told them that they still like.
It's not a party trick. Like it comes when it comes.
Yeah,
I tell people that all the time, because they'll be
Absolutely.
like, "Well, what about this week?" Well, first of all, it's cloudy when it comes to me. That's not how my powers work. That's why I have other spiritual advisors, and it's not just like for instance, if I were to read your tarot or give you a reading without cards right now, it's dictated on the energy and the choices that you're bringing forth in that moment.
Yeah.
If I do it the very next day, you can get a completely different reading where some things are staying the same, but some things are shifting because of what's shifting in you.
Right.
So it's not like, and that's always the gift and the curse of it, right? Because people discover you have these things and then they just expect it
They
to work
want
however
you to be
they want
on
it to.
call,
And it's like,
telling
that's
them
not
their
how this-
whole
On call.
future. No, literally, and they feel very entitled to it too. Like I have an oracle who people DM all the time. They're so rude to her. They're like, why don't you tell me? Like, I need to talk to you right now. Tell me more. And I'm just like, that's not how spiritual gifts work.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, baby?
I was gonna say that maybe like when it's night, it's like maybe like spirits are like trying to put something in your mind to make it happen, and I just don't get, because you guys know Raven's home, right?
Yes.
Where
She's psychic.
yeah, and her son is psychic,
Yeah.
so I'm the same as them, but it's not really real. I thought it wasn't real, but
It
then,
is.
But then when it came to me, it's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's so real.
It is real, and you're right. Certain things come at night. There's like there's a reason behind that. Like they say there is a witching hour, and there's a reason because the portals open at a certain
It's like
time.
it's like
That's
3
why I wake up
a.m.
at 5:55
It's 12
every
a.m.
morning.
Isn't it 12 a.m.?
No, it's like-
I think it's
1?
3 or
It's
something.
3 a.m.
3 a.m.,
They
yeah.
do like these 3 a.m. challenges where it literally comes to
Yeah.
life, but
Wow.
it feels like it's so fake. Like this guy, his YouTube name is Elisa Cray. He FaceTimed Momo. There was 2 Momos. There was an old one and then the new one. They were talking like a robot.
Really?
Like the old Momo was like a robot, but he made a noise. He was like, it was so crazy. I was like, oh my gosh.
We're not gonna have you watch Momo anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Mir was touching on indigo children, and one of the characteristics of indigo children usually is like an extreme talent, and she I cannot draw to save my life, and she can paint like these amazing.
She's a crystal though.
Is that what you're getting?
No, I know that her gender. She's a crystal. They're stronger than us.
Really?
Yeah. And their gifts are more extreme than ours. They can come out instant prodigies.
Instantly. She was painting like these amazing paintings and drawing these figures, and so some of those, you know, and they even say kids with is it ADHD or
and autism.
Autism. Yeah. That they have that too, and a lot of them are misdiagnosed. I mean, I honestly feel when they diagnose people with schizophrenia just because they see people, you know, I don't necessarily believe that that's what it is. That it's.
I think schizophrenia more has a difference. Like I hear voices all the time.
Right.
I think schizophrenia is a difference between having the cognitive ability to separate what is from the esoteric and the spiritual realm and the other realms in general versus what is on this plane.
Yeah.
Because I think that most often when you know, and of course. My grandfather's a psychiatrist, so he'll tell you clinically different, but from my observation, there is a disconnect. Like I can negotiate between when I'm up here and when I'm here.
Okay.
And had you said that to someone in maybe like the 60s or the 80s, they'd lock you up and put you in a padded room. You know what I mean?
True, but they were also experimenting with LSD and the things that trip those things up for you to see what actually happens. To try to study the people who are naturally having it without those. Like I found like I've never really had an affinity for drugs in general. I smoke weed, but I smoke specifically organic clean sativas to enhance my cognitive ability. Whereas I have friends who only smoke indicas because they want to numb themselves from those things.
Yeah.
Because they're still very much afraid of it.
Yep.
And so, you know, knowing what you're putting into your body and how it affects, I mean, I'm sure you can speak to this more, how it affects how your gifting works, how your mind works and manifests in those ways is very, very crucial.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some, what'd you want to say? No more Momo.
I know.
I like how
it's
like
not-
instinctively running this like all over your
not
hands and your
Momo,
body.
So like I'm getting these like panic attacks and like these anxieties from like, you know how like parents fight a lot and stuff?
That's another topic we can talk about. Today we're talking about your spiritual gifts. We can talk about co-parenting.
She's like, don't air this shit right now. We here.
We can definitely have that podcast because I think that co-parenting is so important. But today we're only talking about your spiritual gifts. Do you have any more stories about your spiritual gifts that you want to share?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's like these kids who are now going to 6th grade.
Yes.
They're so mean to me. And every time I like hear them say, stop, respect my words. It's like, because that's what I said to them when they were bothering me because I was having a picnic with my friends at school. My friend Karina, she brought these snacks over and I didn't have
any snacks?
Any socks on.
Oh.
So we had to take our shoes off and the rest of the girls had socks and I didn't. So the boys came over. They were like, stop, respect my words. And then one of the boys I know who used to be my friend when I was in kindergarten, he told coach that we were eating on the grass. Then we had to eat at the table. So, and then
Boys do that.
But when we were sitting at the grass, because we were sitting on a blanket, they were like blocking us, like they were like this to the fence because we were near the fence, and then one day I was yelling at the boys who were mean to me, and so it just made me hurt. Like I thought I was gonna like do something. Like I couldn't control my body. I just wanted to do something. But you know, I'm not that kind of person who would hurt anybody. But you know, it happens.
Better than me, because I would have been like, I'm gonna manifest. So you
So one.
It's like this spirit who's us is like coming into our body, and it's like And it's like you can't control your body. You just really want to do something, but you know it's not the right thing.
You know what? That's okay, because that is part of the balance we were talking about, the yin and the yang. You can't always be positive.
You really
and
can't.
you can't you know what I'm saying? So it's okay to have those feelings, and you just have to learn how to work through them. I wanted to talk about some of the things that we can do to help use our spiritual gifts in a positive way. Like, for example, I don't let my children have, and I also don't use fluoride toothpaste, because fluoride toothpaste, anything with fluoride, there's fluoride in our water. There's a reason they put fluoride in our water.
Ashton used fluoride toothpaste.
Does he? It's mind control. It shrinks your pineal gland. So I don't think Ashton uses. Do you use fluoride toothpaste?
I use charcoal.
Okay, he uses activated charcoal.
You said you used fluoride.
So, like, even when we go to the dentist, I don't let them use the fluoride when they're doing the cleanings. So there are things like that you can do that keep your pineal gland open. Like Mir was saying, LSD, shrooms, DMT, ayahuasca. You can go on spiritual retreats.
If you don't want to do any of that, there's meditations and frequency work videos.
I meditate a lot.
Where you can just sit in quiet, and you're not supposed to, like, the mind is built to wander, so you don't have to, like, you know, chastise yourself for being like, I'm thinking about my grocery list. No, you just bring it back, you listen to the frequency, and it does help to stir things in you as well.
Binaural beats, chakra stones, oils, yeah, essential oils. What are some other things I use? Yoga, no worries, yoga. So we're talking about things that we can do.
I'm loving the things you're talking about.
To open up our third eye and
hiking outside for sure.
Oh yeah,
you
getting
have
into
to get
nature.
Nature.
Not just nature, but like parts of nature that are so much bigger than us.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're sitting near like a Grand Canyon or a mountain range
The ocean
or
does
the
it for me.
ocean,
The
yeah,
ocean
the
does
ocean
it
does it for a lot of
yes.
people.
The ocean does it for me.
Yeah.
It's me being the Scorpio that.
I've learned something from it's Disney Channel, so you know, like the lines on your palms, like right here.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a sign like how talented you are.
Absolutely.
Like this
I
line.
forgot mine, like, man.
Yeah,
Are we talented?
Your talent is fashion.
Oh my God, that's right.
Thank you.
It's like what else do you see?
Your talent is speeches.
Wow.
Oh, smart.
She's on point.
Your talent is, let me see. So you know how your brain controls something in your mind?
Mhm.
That's your talent. So
Wow.
you're very smart.
Told you I was jinxed.
I told you.
Let me see.
But didn't I just text you that the other day?
It was so funny.
So
I'm loving this.
you are calm and very special.
Wow.
Oh, yes. Very special.
Thank you, Noah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And mine's is mind controlling and singing, because you know.
Oh, so we
She
should
was
totally
right.
practice together. Okay,
Yes.
we'll have set up with your mom some
Yes.
sessions. Okay.
Yes.
So see, like, you can't make this stuff up, guys. Like,
It's
she
cute.
literally just
Read all of our
She read us all. That's so funny.
live on
That's
camera. No edits.
It's
Like,
so funny.
very good, Noah.
Oh, thank you. I love everybody, because everybody's just special to me, you know? I feel like they're my children. I feel like I have so many children. But you know,
Oh my God, this is mini you. I'm having so many flashbacks.
Girl, she looks just like her, so
Oh
it's
my
like.
God. No, but you
Sucks.
understand. Ashley at like 16, this was like, I just feel like with this music and with the things that I'm going to teach these people, you are your mother's child.
you know, not a lot of people like can help with their minds, you know, because they're going through a lot of stuff, you know, and
Facts.
people just need help. Like, if you're having like a heart attack and like you just can't breathe through stuff and like going through things that are so hard, like you just need to take a deep breath, you know, just meditate. Like my mom said, meditating is good. Like everybody loves meditating, and if you don't meditate,
You gonna love it.
Well, honey, you need to calm yourself down. Calm yourself down and meditate, okay?
Breathe, sis, breathe.
I said
that, honey. Let's go.
And see, I didn't say nothing after the child.
Period. And no,
in
period.
closing, Mia is going to show us something.
And give you all a shopping list for all that the
Yes.
baby just diagnosed.
Yes. Say what you gotta say, honey.
Oh my God, I can't.
Okay, well, I brought a couple of things. Things that were, gifted by K-Cola. But these are all
Let's
things
go.
that we have, at our local health food store. Would you mind if I burn?
Oh no, absolutely.
please do.
Yeah.
Show
Don't
people how,
mind.
because I feel like everybody's like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
It's
Okay,
real
my
Watch
simple,
this
y'all.
video if you don't know how to do it.
Okay, I do have a lighter. Okay, so this is sage and it's wrapped with these beautiful roses here. So you have a couple of choices, especially if you're like new to doing sage. I don't recommend that you just get your piece and then just light it up. You know what I'm saying? You have to be cautious. You have to be aware if you're in an apartment.
Yes.
If you're in closed space, first you need to open up the window.
It will set that fire alarm off.
Yes,
It will.
and know where you're
And you
going.
want that energy to clear
Yeah,
out.
right. You want to, that's what I'm saying. Like, know where you're going. You want the energy to clear out. So if you're going to start in one corner, then know where you're going to be walking to move the energy outwards. Don't just be like walking around, because now you're just having the energy in one space.
Oh, I've been doing it all wrong.
I'm just like smudging here. Give me real quick.
That's why people use like the feather fans, like native folks use smokers to like brush with it. Or even when they're doing ceremony
Teach
on
me,
you.
sis,
they-
teach
Right?
me.
Teach us.
Yeah, well,
honey.
so, everyone has their own unique way, and there's no right or wrong way to do it because you're communing with your own ancestors. But, for me, I like to start off with the sage because it's, we were talking about yin and yang, so this is going to be the masculine energy. And you can go ahead and light it, but just be careful, like if you're going to light it on the wand, then not to have it be inflamed so long that the inside is burning red, because that means that when you blow it out, it's going to continue to burn.
Just smudge it.
And then if you're not aware of smudging or like how to smudge, you can smudge by basically it means putting it out, but you're putting it out in a safe space. So you're putting it out into the dirt. You're allowing it to be in a space where it's not directly hitting air, because that's
I always
gonna
suffocate mine.
Yeah, or you can do that too. Or some people when it gets overwhelming, they'll hit it with water. But if
I
you
hate that.
but if you hit it with water, every time you burn it after that, it's going to inflame. Yeah, so you just always want to be really careful. So you have a lighter. You want to be safe. You should be over 18 to do that, like with a lighter.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I don't know the rules.
She was like,
Okay.
I'm like the nun that knows me.
Yeah. Well, just call a parent.
Wait, guys, I can't breathe in fire.
Okay, I'm not gonna light it anymore. So you can just see how just a little bit of it has been inflamed, right? And so what I'll go ahead and do is you'll sage yourself. A lot of people just go ahead and they just start saging their space, but they forget to sage themselves first. You
I
should
always
start.
do the space first.
Yeah,
Okay.
saging your crown chakra. What are you removing? What kind of things?
Because if you dirty while you cleansing,
What-
you're just gonna re-dirty.
Right.
Very true.
And if you are carrying negative energy and you're trying to cleanse the space, your space can be cleansed, but that energy that you're still holding on to can still manifest in that space. So it's so important, especially when you feel detached from oneself, to start cleansing oneself. And not just cleansing like, oh, here we go. No, like, okay, you want to have a little intention in it.
Yeah.
You want to, spend at least 30 seconds speaking positive life into yourself. I love myself. I'm doing this because I'm teaching myself how to, practice self-love, how to be patient.
Myth or fact? With this one being said, with sage, is it true that you have to buy your own sage? You can't have it bought for you, or use someone else's for it to work effectively for you?
I feel like that's more with crystals.
Yeah.
Crystals are kind of like your children, so if
Okay.
other people are drawn to that energy, it might not necessarily be for you.
Okay.
But anybody can gather the herbs that you use for sage.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So I mean, it's out now. I didn't engulf it a lot, you know, just a little bit to be able to show for a display. But basically, you kind of want to be able to move the energy around and be conscious of that. So start by staging yourself first, and then going out of the door or having the smoke going out of a window, making sure that it's open. Don't have things be enclosed because your, you know, smoke signals will go off.
Very true.
Yes. And then afterwards, I like to follow up with Palo Santo, which is like the feminine version. And after it burns, it smells like perfume, you know? So same thing. This is a lot easier. And Palo Santo sticks can last for like 6 months, like one stick that you continue to relight. And you just want it to be able to catch on a little bit. And
Shake it out.
shake it out. Yep.
You know, I just learned how to light incense. I was like
Really?
burning it and like,
The corner. Hit it the corner.
well, no, you have to let it turn a little
Red.
bit red,
So
and
much.
then but I was just
But it
like,
helps if you put it down into the flame.
yeah, I'm a mess.
And then something else to mention about Palo Santo, it's specifically to draw out
the
negative energy and bring in positive, and sage is specifically to clear all energy. So like sometimes if I've had a difficult conversation, if I've had a rough day,
Ooh.
before I get into my bed, I specifically Palo Santo. I've started keeping it in my car, like, ooh, that
I
was
should
a
keep one with
call,
me. 'Cause,
like-
like I ran into people, and it only happened to me one time. He had such a horrible energy and aura to the point where I was just like,
And then there's
Oh
always
my
that
God.
person, not like you, but it's
No.
always that person that's like, I'm a hugger, and I'll be like,
and I'm like, but like
don't-
I was just in a closed space, and I literally had to go home and just like sage myself.
I need to do this when I
get
meet
rid of
with
it.
my baby daddies.
Oh.
Really.
Love
Can I
and
get a
light,
light?
love and light.
Yeah. Woo.
Especially
You not
like,
gonna do co-parenting?
to be honest,
No? Okay.
working in the community, I sage in Palo Santo like every 3
Want
hours.
a little bit?
Just because
I
it's
can't
a lot.
believe
It's a
it
lot.
smoke.
I'm sure it's simply too.
It's a lot. It's a beautiful space, and but
But just
we
it's
do
also
sage.
our ground, so like everything comes through
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
sometimes.
you know, so we sage there like daily, you know, at random moments.
Damn,
We'll
I
just
want a
be
patty
burning
and a veggie
Palo
burger.
Santos. I was gonna bring some, but like
Well, you didn't.
I didn't. I'm sorry. Next time I will. I
said
was
it's like
on
a
the
I
go-to.
have to go
road.
to LAX, so I might go all the way to.
I low-key, I think I'm like close enough to you to just go on my
You
own.
are.
Like, I don't need to like
You are.
wait for her.
Get a large number 18 vegan
Just-
style.
Okay.
Sunshine
Just
vegan.
sunshine, yeah.
Okay.
And a garden burger.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Those are my faves.
Welcome to LA.
Next time I'll bring some for sure. I was already on the road, and then she was like, "Oh, it's a little later," and I was like, "Dang, I could
You could
have."
have brought a whole.
But you know, that's
a
lost in
whole
traffic in the morning is
True.
Traffic in LA in general is horrible.
yeah. But yeah, so those are just some of the things outside of like the crystals you can use. Today I've been drinking my water.
Chlorophyll.
Yes. Okay.
I got up close and personal with chlorophyll in
Yeah.
Peru. 'cause
I don't
also
drink
took
that.
that.
It looks nasty.
Yeah,
No, it's
Good
really
for you.
good.
Okay.
It's plants.
It is. It doesn't have a taste to
It
it.
looks like
doesn't have a
witch potion.
There are some brewhouses who are amazing, darling. Don't think all witches are bad.
Very true.
You know, another thing I really quickly want to touch on before we wrap up, our hair. I feel that
Mine too.
I know for a fact. So if you know who Nikola Tesla is, if you don't study him, the
You probably
Tesla
driving one and don't know who he is. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the Tesla coil transfers energy, right? Our hair does the same thing, and I truly feel that part of the attack on our hair comes from, you know, the energies that are trying to prevent us from downloading information from
Very
the
Oh,
true.
you want to
universe.
hear a really fun story that I
That-
reaffirm that?
Yeah.
So back, I want to say this was before the Vietnam War. The U.S. government was using native warriors and hunters and gatherers because they were expert trackers. They knew how to read the lands, how to communicate with the big spirits and beings and what was there before. As soon as they made them buzz cut their hair to
They couldn't
fit
do
regular regulations, they couldn't
They
do
couldn't
it.
do it.
And so similarly, like now I find, because thanks to Organigrow hair care, my hair is
Yes,
lush
Organigrow.
and long,
Plug it.
longer than it's ever been in my life. I also noticed at around the same time that I started growing it out more and coming into my gifts more, if I constrained it too tightly.
Oh my gosh.
Especially when I was discerning mind. It would hurt, almost like an avatar with the tentacles that, like, you know, would connect.
Yeah.
It literally physically hurt, and then at the end of the day, I'd take it out and I would just fluff and oil, and it would feel free. It was almost as if like my arms were bound.
Yeah.
Are you
all
tender-headed as well, though?
I'm sorry.
Are you tender-headed?
Boy, not only
Anybody with a lot of hair isn't really, like, tender-headed isn't
I'm
really thing, because you
tender-headed.
can't. You tender-headed because you don't like to
In the-
sit
in the
and get
Bible-
your hair pulled. You just want to run.
in the
free.
Bible, they cut off Samson's hair and he lost his strength. So for those of
Okay.
you who believe in Christianity, I believe that with the police and the government, when you're in the army, there's like certain haircuts or like standards that you have to get that are all related to cutting off of our hair, and our hair is directly, you know, correlated to our brain. There are even relaxers. Relaxers are poisoning us, poisoning our brain. Certain hair care products, which is why I even developed Organic Grow Hair Co.
Even
because
medications you could be on.
medications
will mess up,
will cause your hair. So that's another part, to me, that's another important part of our spiritual gifts, our hair, and how we maintain our hair, and making sure that our pores and certain things aren't clogged and blocked and poisoned and things like that. So
Just like you have to take care of your skin. This is the largest organ that you have.
Right.
Your hair is another extension of that. So
Very true.
So
take care of yourself.
we're gonna put some more information, because there's so much information, we could probably go on all day.
I feel
I mean,
like
it's a study. Know that this is like, your spiritual wealth is not a place that you land. Like, I'm sure you know, like, every day you're learning more, you're honing more, you're gaining more
Yeah.
tools. Like, no, this is a journey.
Yeah.
And know that there's nobody who can define it for you. You
Very
have
true.
to walk in that, and you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I think I'm at that point now, too.
You know,
Welcome,
and-
brother.
Yeah. If you fight it, the universe is going to continue to
Slap you in the
that's
face
so
with it.
true.
to put it in front of you.
And
That's so
you may
true.
not necessarily want to tell people
Yeah.
in the beginning, because you know they can try to
Discourage
Manipulate
you.
yeah, discourage you,
Use you.
manipulate you, do all of that kind of stuff, make you feel like it's not real. So if you need a support system, you know, definitely comment below, and other people can comment below about their spiritual gifts. Follow Who Hurt You on Instagram. We're always talking about things like this, and DM us if you have more questions or, you know, anything like that. Mir, do you want to leave your handles in the...
I'm Mir. You can find me at Mia Mir, MEREMIR on everything. I'm Googleable, I guess, now. It's not hard to find. MIR, there's only one.
Yeah, my
Mia?
handle is Help with Mia.
We'll leave those in the description box as well. And you guys, if you're in LA, definitely stop by Simply Wholesome.
Yes, definitely support small businesses. They
For sure.
support now over 106 small businesses of Black and brown color, which is amazing.
With the products in there, right?
With the products in there. Outside of them, I mean, I guess it would be 107 if you include them. But you know, that's a beautiful thing when people are trying to run us over in this monopoly game. So
Yeah.
we really want to be cognizant of our power and the power that you have within the dollars that you make and the choices that you have. You don't have to go to conglomerates and give your money. You really should consider spending that extra 50 cents or that extra dollar on your sister or your friend who just started a business, because
Absolutely.
you're recycling the money in your own community in a way that's going to help to uplift you and to liberate you, so that you have more options or your family has more options. So don't just like look at it as whatever, you know, people are out here really trying, and so just support people that you believe in.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you guys for joining us today, and we love you.
Yes.
We hope you heal.
I hope you feel that.
Thanks,
Yes.
guys.